Some people run from their past because they are weak, but sometimes a man disappears because he is brave enough to choose his own life. Dr. Evan Park was one of those men. To the world, he was a talented Korean neurosurgeon working quietly at a hospital in Los Angeles. Calm, brilliant, private, a doctor who saved lives with steady hands and a sharp mind. But that wasn't the whole truth. Dr. Evan Park was not the name he was born with. His real name was Park Tae-hyun, and back in Korea, that name carried the weight of a powerful empire. He was the son of one of the most influential figures in global medicine, a man who owned hospital chains, universities, research institutes, charitable foundations, and partnerships with pharmaceutical companies worldwide. In that family, medicine was not just a profession. It was a legacy. Every decision in Tae-hyun's life had been planned long before he could make choices for himself. The schools, the career path, the reputation, and even the woman he was expected to marry. But Tae-hyun had seen too much. He watched his mother live in quiet sadness in a seemingly perfect marriage, saw his cousin forced into a loveless union for business, and his admired older sister trapped by expectations to protect the family's image. In their world, marriage was rarely about love. It was about alliances, power, and reputation. Women were treated like pieces in a plan, and Tae-hyun hated it. He wanted something simple, a life saving lives as a doctor and sharing it with someone he truly loved. As he grew older, the pressure to settle down from his father increased. He avoided conversations, skipped family gatherings, ignored introductions, and made excuses. But one evening, everything changed. "We have already chosen the woman you will marry," his father said. It felt like a door closing around him. Tae-hyun did not hate the woman, but he knew he could not live a life designed by someone else. A loveless marriage was not for him. So instead of arguing, he disappeared, not out of anger, but determination. He planned carefully. Only a close friend from medical school knew, an American citizen whose father was a respected hospital administrator. Through this connection, Tae-hyun legally transitioned into a new professional life. His certifications were real, his skills unquestionable, and his qualifications were earned through years of hard work. With his friend's help, he applied to work in America under a new identity, licenses transferred, documents processed privately, and when it was complete, Park Tae-hyun stepped into a new life as Dr. Evan Park. Simple, clean, safe. A name without history. Officially, he was just another skilled neurosurgeon at Riverside Crest Medical Center in Los Angeles. Far from Korea, far from his father's control, far from the life planned for him. To everyone at Riverside Crest Medical Center, Dr. Evan Park was simply a talented neurosurgeon building his career in America. No one knew he was the heir to a massive medical empire, and that was exactly how he wanted it. He didn't value wealth, influence, or family name. His pride came from what he had earned himself, his exams, his surgical training, his knowledge, his steady hands, and his brilliant mind. Everything he had achieved as a doctor was his own. In Los Angeles, for the first time in his life, he was free. Evan quickly became known as one of the hospital's most promising neurosurgeons, calm under pressure, precise in the operating room, and remarkably focused. He was also strikingly handsome, tall, composed, with a quiet confidence that drew attention. Some nurses and doctors tried to engage him, sent small gifts, or joked lightly in the hallways, but Evan remained polite, professional, and distant. Unlike many doctors his age, he lived quietly. No social media, no flashy lifestyle, and almost no personal life shared. Inside the hospital, he was respected for one thing: excellence. He worked harder than most, arrived early, left late, and treated every patient as if their life truly mattered. Few people truly knew him, because behind the calm, respected doctor was a man who had left everything behind to live freely. Months passed in this quiet rhythm. Surgery, patient rounds, research, then home. No media attention, no powerful family watching his every move, just the life he had chosen. Everything remained peaceful until the hospital announced a new intake of clinical trainees. 20 newly licensed nurses arrived nervously for orientation, many excited, others terrified. The chief nursing officer asked Evan to welcome them. He stepped forward, calm and composed, and spoke briefly about teamwork, patient care, and commitment. Then, the new nurses were assigned to departments. That was when Evan noticed her. Near the back, a young woman clutched a small notebook. her hands trembling slightly. The head nurse called her name, Jade Robinson. Evan saw her clearly for the first time. Her natural beauty didn't seek attention. Deep brown skin, neatly tied curly hair, sharp eyes, but it was her determination that drew him in. She looked like someone who had already fought battles before arriving at the hospital. Before the head nurse finished the department assignments, Evan calmly said, "She can work with my team." The nurse hesitated. Evan rarely requested anyone, but adjusted the list. Jade froze. She had heard about him. Brilliant in surgery, strict in the operating room, expecting perfection every second. Her heart raced. Working under him meant pressure, but she nodded politely. "Yes, ma'am." Jade Robinson was 24, a newly licensed nurse. For most, this milestone meant celebration. For her, it meant responsibility. Her younger brother had just been accepted into a demanding engineering program in California, with tuition far beyond what their family could afford. Her mother was aging and could no longer work long hours. Jade decided silently. She would carry the weight, support her brother, help her mother, pay her own loans, and survive the rest. Love was a luxury she couldn't afford. The first weeks at the hospital were exhausting. Jade worked harder than almost anyone among the new nurses. Extra shifts, late nights, early mornings. She rarely complained, though fatigue was visible in her eyes. Evan noticed. She often skipped lunch, rested briefly in the break room, then returned to work. Yet her kindness never faltered. Even tired, her voice remained gentle. She listened carefully to patients and explained procedures to anxious families. Many nurses lost that care over time, but not Jade. Her sharpness in surgery surprised him. During a complicated operation, a quick adjustment was needed. Before Evan could ask, Jade already had the correct instrument ready. Most new nurses needed weeks to match his rhythm. She was learning fast. Afterward, a senior nurse whispered to another, "She's new, right?" "Yeah." "She's good." Evan had noticed the same. One evening, after a long surgery, Evan stepped outside for fresh air before his final operation. In the quiet courtyard, he saw her sitting alone on a bench, phone in hand, head lowered. Her voice reached him. "Yes, I understand. I'm trying to pay it. I just need more time. My brother's tuition is due soon. I promise I won't let him drop out. I'm trying my best." The call ended. She covered her face with her hands and quietly cried. Evan watched silently. In that moment, everything clicked. The extra shifts, the exhaustion, the quiet distance she kept. She was carrying the weight of her entire family. A few days later, Evan asked the front desk to send Jade to his office after her shift. She knocked softly. "Come in," he said. She stepped inside nervously. "Good afternoon, Dr. Park." He gestured to the chair. "Sit." She obeyed, unsure why she'd been called. Evan looked at her calmly. "Why are you working so many shifts?" I can handle it," she said. "That's not what I asked," he said firmly. "It's not healthy." She tried to smile. "I'm fine." Evan leaned slightly forward. "Jade, tell me the truth. If you collapse during surgery, it becomes a patient safety issue." The walls she'd built around herself slowly cracked. "My brother's tuition is due next month," she admitted. "My mom can't work like she used to. And I still have my own loans. I'm just trying to keep everything together. I can't let my brother lose his dream." A tear rolled down her cheek. "You're human," Evan said softly. "And for what it's worth, you're doing better than most people would." For the first time in months, someone had seen her struggle and understood. Life at the hospital began to change for Jade in small ways. Her rotation within neurosurgery was adjusted to higher pay and better shifts. Overtime rates increased. She hadn't requested any of it, but the changes were real. One evening, she returned home to find her mother smiling. "Someone came today," she said. "A polite young man brought groceries and this." Inside was a large check. Jade's heart skipped. The description left no doubt. It had to be Dr. Evan Park. She held the check quietly, unsure whether to laugh or cry. The next day, she brought a small gift and a homemade dish from her mother to the hospital. "I brought something for you," she said nervously. "You didn't have to," he said quietly. "I know," she replied softly. "But I wanted to." Their eyes met, and something warm passed between them. After that, their bond grew slowly. Jade would bring food occasionally. Evan, long used to solitude, began stopping by her home to check on her mother. She welcomed him with kindness, offering tea and conversation. Through these small gestures, Evan felt something he hadn't in years, a sense of family. Back at the hospital, Evan found himself looking forward to seeing Jade. Her smile after a long shift brightened his day. Her dedication to patients quietly filled him with admiration. Jade noticed it too. The strict, distant Dr. Evan Park, the one everyone respected but kept at a distance, was different around her. Softer, warmer, more human. But the hospital was full of people, and people loved to talk. Whispers began among the nurses, especially those who had once tried to catch Evan's attention. Have you noticed how he talks to her? He never smiles like that with anyone else. I heard he requested her specifically. Jade would walk into the break room, and the conversation would stop. She focused on her work and patients, trying to ignore it, but the whispers never fully stopped. Then one morning, something unusual happened. Jade arrived for her shift to find Evan absent. She first assumed he was in surgery, but by midday it was clear. He hadn't come to work at all. Evan, who never missed a day, was sick. Concern crept into her heart. Hesitant, she called him. "I'm fine," he said lightly, voice weak. "Just a small illness. I decided to rest today." "You should see a doctor," she replied. He chuckled softly. "I spend all day treating people, but when I'm sick, there's no one to take care of me." The words stayed in her mind. Quietly she offered, "I can come by." A pause. "You don't have to. I want to." Then he gave her his address, the first time he had shared it with anyone from the hospital. Later that evening, after informing her mother, Jade stopped by a small market and picked up fruits and warm soup she had prepared. At his apartment, Evan looked genuinely surprised to see her. "You actually came." "Of course I did," she said softly, stepping inside. His apartment was simple, quiet, very much like him. Jade placed the soup on the table, checked his temperature, and said firmly, "You need rest." He smiled faintly. "Yes, nurse." They talked for hours. For the first time, Evan opened up, not about his real identity, but about the life he had always wanted, freedom to live on his own terms. Jade listened quietly, the conversation flowing naturally. At some point, the silence between them shifted, warmer, closer. The space separating them slowly disappeared. When Jade finally stood to leave, Evan gently held her hand. "Stay a little longer." Her heart raced. Neither tried to hide what they felt anymore. Months of quiet longing culminated in this tender moment. That night, they held each other, warmth spreading through them in a way neither had expected. But the next morning changed everything. Evan woke to find the other side of the bed empty. Jade had already left. When they saw each other later at the hospital, something felt different. Jade avoided his eyes. She quietly requested shift rotations away from him, fearful of gossip and her reputation. To Evan, it felt like something else entirely. He realized, for the first time since coming to America, that he had fallen in love with Jade Robinson. The distance between them didn't last forever. One evening after work, Evan waited quietly near the hospital parking lot. He had noticed that Jade usually left around that time. When she saw him standing by his car, she immediately knew he had been waiting. "Dr. Park," she said softly. "Evan," he corrected gently. A few staff members were still around. Jade knew if they lingered, the gossip would grow louder. "I'll walk home," she said stubbornly. Evan opened the passenger door calmly. "Get in." She hesitated. "I don't want more rumors." "That's exactly why you should get in," he replied. "Standing here arguing will only give them more to talk about." She sighed and stepped inside. The drive was quiet. Streetlights glided across the windshield as Evan focused on the road. After a few minutes, he spoke. "About that night." Jade looked out the window. "I'm sorry if it made things difficult for you," he continued calmly. "If it hurt your pride or made you uncomfortable." "I'm sorry." She stayed silent. "But I want you to know something," he said. "That night meant a lot to me. I didn't see it as a mistake, and I don't see you as one." The sincerity in his voice made her heart race. "I care about you, Jade." Her mind swirled with questions and fear. I don't know what to say," she admitted softly. He nodded. "You don't have to say anything tonight." She looked down. "I need time to think." Then take it. He drove the rest of the way in silence and dropped her off at home. From that night, something inside Jade began to change. She tried to keep her distance at work and focus only on her responsibilities, but Evan never stopped showing he cared. If he noticed she skipped lunch, he'd leave a meal at the nurse's station. If she looked exhausted after a long shift, he gently reminded her to rest. Sometimes it was just a quiet, "Are you okay today?" The gossip never stopped, but Evan never let it affect how he treated her. That quiet persistence slowly broke down the walls around her heart. One evening at home, she finally spoke to her mother. They sat in the small living room as Jade confessed how confused she felt. "I don't know what to do," she said softly. "He's different." Her mother listened, then smiled. "Jade, that man has been coming to this house for months. I've watched him. The way he speaks, the way he looks at you. There's a side of him that only appears when you are around." Jade stayed quiet. "I see it clearly," her mother said. "He loves you. And you love him too." Jade tried to deny it, but her mother shook her head. "I see the way your face lights up when he walks in." Tears filled Jade's eyes. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Love is always a little scary," her mother said softly. "But don't let fear stop you from something beautiful." That night, Jade lay awake, thinking. The next evening, she made a decision. She dressed carefully, not for work, but for someone important. When Evan opened his door and saw her, he froze for a moment. She looked beautiful, her smile soft but nervous. "I thought about what you said," she told him. He stepped aside slowly. "And? I want to give this a chance." For the first time in a long while, Evan's calm expression broke into a genuine smile. That night, they spoke honestly about their feelings, their fears, and the lives they wanted to build. When they finally held each other again, it felt different. This time, it was not confusion. It was a choice. From that night on, they officially started dating. They tried to keep their relationship private at work, but hospitals were places where people noticed everything. Whispers started again among the nurses, but this time, Jade didn't let it control her. Their relationship grew naturally. On weekends, they explored small cafes in Los Angeles. Sometimes they wandered through quiet parks after long work weeks. Evan spent more time at Jade's home, talking with her mother and helping wherever he could. For the first time since arriving in America, he felt like he truly belonged somewhere. But far away, another story was unfolding. In South Korea, Park Tae-hyun's father had never stopped searching for him. Years passed without success, until one day, a senior employee from one of the family's partner companies traveled to Los Angeles for business. While having dinner at a restaurant, the man noticed a familiar face at another table. He quietly took a photo and later sent it to his employer. When Park Tae-hyun's father saw it, his heart nearly stopped. There was no doubt. It was his son. He immediately traced the location, the city, the hospital, the new identity. Through his influence, he contacted the administrator of the hospital his son was working, Evan's friend. At first, the man refused to share anything, but the offer made to him was enormous, the kind of financial support that could transform the hospital forever. Temptation slowly broke his resistance. Soon, Park Tae-hyun's father had everything he needed. A week later, he arrived in Los Angeles. One afternoon, Jade went to Evan's apartment to surprise him. When the door opened, she froze. A tall, older man stood in the living room, radiating power and authority. But it was his face that shocked her the most. She had seen him before, on television, in magazines, in business articles listing the most powerful figures in global medicine. Her heart sank. Before she could speak, Evan stepped forward, his expression a mixture of shock and disbelief. "Father," he said quietly. Jade looked from son to father in disbelief. The man nodded slowly. "I came to see my son." Evan had spent years making sure no trace of his past could reach here. Yet somehow, his father had found him. Jade felt the ground shift beneath her. The quiet doctor she had come to love was the son of a global medical billionaire. Without saying another word, she quietly left the apartment. She needed air. She needed space to think. Inside, father and son stood facing each other. Evan braced for anger, arguments, control. But his father looked tired. "Older, please," the man said quietly. "Let me speak." They sat down. For a long moment, no words were spoken. Then finally, the older man began. I came here to apologize. Evan stared at him, stunned. My obsession with power destroyed our family, the man admitted slowly. He revealed the truth. After Evan disappeared, his mother could no longer endure the controlling environment of the family. She left. Soon after, his sisters' marriages began collapsing. They had married for prestige, not love, and their lives were miserable. They stayed silent for years, his father said quietly, because they felt trapped by the expectations I forced on them. He lowered his head. I wanted to build a powerful legacy, but I forgot my children were not business assets. For the first time, the powerful man apologized to his son. I am proud of you, he said sincerely. You built your life with your own hands. Then he made one request. Come home and lead the medical empire. It should belong to you. Later that night, Evan left the apartment to find Jade. He eventually found her sitting quietly in the hospital courtyard. When she saw him, her eyes were filled with confusion. Was any of it real? She asked softly. He walked toward her. Everything I told you about how I feel was real. He sat beside her. I didn't tell you about my past because I wanted a life that belonged to me, not to my father. She looked at him carefully. And us? She asked. He held her hand gently. You are the most real thing in my life. Tears slowly formed in her eyes. After a long moment, she leaned into him. Their reunion was quiet but powerful. In the end, Evan faced the biggest decision of his life: return to South Korea and lead the empire, or stay in Los Angeles with the woman who had brought peace into his heart. But his father surprised him once again. If the life you built here makes you happy, the older man said softly, then protect it. Months later, life at the hospital continued. Dr. Evan Park remained one of the hospital's best surgeons. Jade Robinson was no longer struggling the way she once had. Her brother completed his university program successfully. Her mother's health improved with less financial stress in the home, and the quiet love between the doctor and the nurse only grew stronger with time. Far away in South Korea, a once powerful father slowly began trying to rebuild the family he had nearly lost. And in Los Angeles, the surgeon who once ran away from his legacy finally discovered something far more valuable: a peaceful life, and the woman who made it worth living.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for following along with that story. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to life. Your support, comments, and encouragement means so much to me, and it keeps me inspired to keep creating more stories. Thank you so much. Please, if you are new, please subscribe. Always leave your comments and share my story to your loved ones. And I will still remain your favorite girl, Unye. See you all next week.